Hey everyone, welcome back to the Bait Shop video series here at River Rock Inn and Bait Shop in Hudson's on the spot guide service. Took a little break last month. Things were really in transition. Ice was really bad, and we had open water places, and really the only thing that was going on was trolling in a few ports, and really we covered that last year, and we didn't really want to do a repeat. So here we are, April 3rd, and we're actually out on the water here on our inland lakes doing something a little bit different. As I've mentioned before, in the wintertime, from River Rock, within an hour, we've got hundreds and hundreds of lakes to explore in Ashland and Bayfield counties. And with those lakes, we got some of the best crappie fishing that you can expect anywhere here in Wisconsin. A lot of our lakes have good numbers of crappies, and some of our lakes have really, really big crappies. And right now, the crappies are, biting pretty good from our big lakes like Namakagon to some of our real small gems that you're going to have to come out here and explore and find. So crappie fishing, that's what we're going to talk about this April for the Bait Shop video series. And like I said, crappies are going good, but it's not the typical crappie fishing in the spring that most people are thinking of. Right now these fish are actually feeding. They're not up on beds, and they're not probably going to be on beds for another 2 to 3 weeks. Water temperatures right now are holding in the mid-40s, and we won't see them pushed up real shallow until we get into those mid-50s. So right now these crappies are actually feeding, putting on weight for the spawn. And what's cool about this is now you can catch probably the biggest crappie of the year right now. The big females full of spawn are actually feeding quite well, and you can see we got some sunshine today, and that's what we need to get these fish going. And actually catching a few today. Got some decent eating fish. We haven't caught anything real big today, but some decent crappies, males. This one's probably about 10 inches, but good fish to eat. So it's been a good day, and just want to share some tips on how we're catching these fish so you can come up here and enjoy some time catching some crappies or wherever you are. So like I said, these fish are feeding, and they're not real shallow. The water temperature isn't conducive for them to get up real shallow where they are making their beds. They will go really shallow, but for the most part, we're looking for these fish from 5 feet of water out to about 15 feet of water right now. And as the water temperature starts climbing more to 50 to 55, those fish will start moving more and more shallow. Still feeding, not spawning. And with that, if you get a real cold front, even when those fish are shallow, those fish are going to move back out where we're targeting them today. So what do we do? How do we find these fish? Well, we concentrate on those areas that we know those fish are gonna go to spawn, like these back bays, especially on the north side of a bay or north side of a lake. That's the spot that's going to warm up the quickest, and where those fish are going to migrate to begin with. So we're looking at these spawning areas, but just out from those spawning areas, in that, again, 5 to 10, could be out to 15 feet of water, depending on the clarity. Usually dirty water, you're going to find them a little bit shallower. You're going to have weeds, and a lot of our lakes already, the weeds are starting to green up, and that's where we're finding them, on these stained waters, like, say, Namakagon. A lot of the clear lakes, like the Eau Claire chain, Pike Lake chain, the fish are still deep. Haven't seen much for weed growth yet, and the fish are still off of most likely on those secondary breaks, not on the first breaks coming into those spawning areas. So basically, we're looking for the fish. We're using our electronics. We're looking for weed growth, and then from there we're just using a simple casting technique. I carry 2 rods when I go crappie fishing this time of the year. I use a jigging rod first, like this 6 foot medium light action. It's got a extra fast tip. Same thing I use for jigging, vertical jigging walleyes. I team it up. I use a 4-pound test fire line. I like the new nanofill from Berkeley, but fire line is what I use, and I just use small jigs. I like these tube jigs from Berkeley, atomic tubes. 1/32 ounce up to about a 1/16 ounce is what I'm going to use. White and pink is really good. Chartreuse is good, and like a smoke color with some speckles in it are really good. So just straight fire line on this jigging rod, and what we do is we just work down the shoreline, casting out, locating these fish. They're schooled up in pods along these weed beds, because that's where the minnows are that they're eating, hiding in these little weed beds. And we're casting, finding those fish. Then when we find those fish, we set up and we anchor. You know, we always carry an anchor. Always like to have two anchors. Just throw the anchor out, and then we deploy some slip bobbers. You know, use the same type of jigs on our slip bobbers, hair jigs on our jigging rod too, or we use live bait, and that's our mainstay under our bobber rod. But we do use just artificials on the bobber rod as well. And basically, what I use is a technique-specific bobber rod. This is actually made by Jason Mitchell Elite Series. This is an 8-foot telescopic bobber rod. Fits nice into rod holders, telescopes out. It's specifically made for using slip bobbers. And the one cool thing about this rod is it's got foot increments marked with white dots going up to blank. And what that does is allows me to set my depth really easy. I just take my depth marker, go a foot, 2 feet, 3 feet as I go on up the rod, and there's my depth that's set. Say I'm in 5 feet of water, I'm going to set it about 3 feet so I can suspend that live bait up. And it's a simple setup. We've all used slip bobbers before. You just use a slip bobber knot. You got your slip bobber. I like one that has a weight on it so you can cast it really easy, and you match that to the jig and weight size that you're using. I use a jig quite a bit. At times when they get really finicky at cold front, I will use like a number 8 octopus hook. I like mustad hooks, as you all know, but a number 8 hook works really well. And then just a simple split shot. And what do we do with that is we just grab our minnows, using crappie minnows. We get one of those minnows, and what I do is I actually tail hook my minnow, and just hook it right before the tail, and suspend it off of that jig. Makes that minnow really lively. Cast it out in that spot that you caught that fish jigging, and around that area. And there's going to be more, and usually you're going to catch more by doing that. Set that slip bobber out, set it down in a rod holder or in your boat, and then start casting again. Now you're using a 2-rod technique. That's like we talk about ice fishing. You know, we like setting tip ups, all that kind of stuff. So use those 3 rods wisely, and you're going to catch more crappies doing that. You know, so you're searching them out, jigging down the shoreline, jigging through the weeds. You find them, anchor up, then slip bobber. Pound test on my slip bobber rig, I'm using 6-pound test XT. I don't go any smaller than that. A lot of times I use this for walleye fishing too, so you can gear the same way with your slip bobber rods as you would for walleyes. So easy, catch a lot of them, and it's good fun. You know, right now we're within an hour of River Rock Inn and Bait Shop. You know, we got all our bait there, you know, from their minnows to wax worms, we carry those too. So it's a fun drive, and it's fun fishing, taken away from the big lake. And what it is a lot of times people are coming up here, they're trolling, or, you know, say fishing smallmouth, something like that on the bay. Well, what happens if it gets too windy? Well, this is something you can do. And again, within a couple weeks, these fish are going to be pushed up way shallow, but this is actually more fun. Again, you're going to catch some of the bigger fish of the system, because when they go shallow on beds, you know, mainly that's all males, and, you know, yeah, you can catch them that are up to 13 inches, but, you know, here we got a shot at catching, you know, up to 16-inch fish at times, because we're targeting females too. But, you know, selective harvest, you know, usually we're keeping 10 a day per person. You know, that's all you need. You don't need 25. Selective harvest on these fish, especially small lakes, you may even want to only keep 5. So come up, have some fun, catch some crappies, and we'll see you next month, and have some fun on the water.